The Pirates. Chapter 13, Part 2. The brig of the Quadrag Mercenary was a small, dimly lit room on the lowest deck of the vessel. A trickle of orange water ran down the rusty metal walls of the prison cell. Two white, titanium-plated security droids and two association troops wearing green uniforms and body armour, and armed with Zap machine guns, stood on the other side of the rusty metal bars. Commander Silver and Calico Jack Rackman sat with their backs against the only dry wall of the prison cell, playing a game of Cra-Po-Car with a packet of Phoenician playing cards. Reed and Ebony lay on the lower bunk of a two-tier metal bed. Morgan lay on the top bunk, still clutching his broken snout. William Bones stood in the centre of the brig, and Slimer's hands stood behind his captain, massaging his shoulders. Hawkins paced up and down, muttering to himself. "Wish you'd stop doing that," sighed Reed. "We're trying to get some sleep." "How can you sleep at a time like this?" asked the newbie in youth. "Conserve your energy," hissed Ebony. "You're going to need it." "Try and relax," suggested Calico Jack, shuffling the pack of playing cards. "How can I relax?" asked Hawkins. "They're going to execute us." "Sit down and play a game of Cra-Po-Car," suggested Silver. "They're going to kill us, and all you want to do is play a card game?" Sorry. The young Nubian sat down on the metal floor, opposite to the silver-haired Venetian. "We should be working on an escape plan," he whispered. Silver pointed a finger to the two security droids guarding the prison cell. "And what chance do you think we'll have against them?" he sighed. "We're not dead yet," whispered William Bonnet, leaning over the Hawkins' shoulder. "They still haven't got a full house." Exquimilian turned his head to face his guard. "I don't suppose that you play chess by any chance?" he asked. The security droid did not reply. "I didn't think so," sighed the cyborg pilot in a sharp metallic voice. Two association troops in full metal body armour patrolled the engineering room, armed with Zap machine guns. A third officer sat at the engineering console, and a large titanium-plated robot stood guard at the metal door of the thermoreaction chamber. "Have you any idea where the coffee machine is?" asked Crewman I'm thirsty. "There's probably one in the galley," suggested Ensign Asimov. A young officer, wearing a green uniform, sat on the bed of the sick bay, armed with a Zap machine gun. Crewman Kelly picked his nose and wiped the bogey onto the underside of the bed. Two security droids remained in the docking bay, guarding the troop shuttle. Crusoe turned his chair to face the grey-haired man in the captain's chair. "Sir, 4 of the pirate crew are still unaccounted for." "Captain Riley to Armoury, who's down there?" "Lieutenant Maynard and Ensign Ogle, sir," replied a deep voice over the intercommunication speaker. "Are all the hand weapons accounted for?" asked the captain. Ensign Ogle unlocked the door of the weapons locker with a silver key and opened the black cabinet. Six VAP guns are missing, sir," he reported. Walter Riley slammed his right fist on the arm of the captain's chair. "4 of the pirates are still missing. Watch your backs." "Yes, sir," acknowledged the guard. "Captain Riley to all crew. We still have 4 fugitives on board, probably armed. Find them and shoot to kill." Guacamole swam about in her aquarium, splashing a scaled green tail. Captain Riley turned his chair to face the alien in the fish tank. "Did you say anything?" he asked. "Just muttering to myself," gurgled the beautiful mermaid. Ben Gunn was still curled up in a ball under the communications console. Guacamole splashed her tail again, and the young cat-like boy pricked up his left ear. "Disengage the transcommunicator," whispered the mermaid under her breath. So soft was her voice that no human ear would be able to distinguish it from the gentle rumble of the Quadrag Mercenary's engines. Ensign Crusoe gazed down at the command console. The impulse drive has been engaged, sir. The Quadag mercenary was still engulfed in a force field. 5 Green Association Viper-class battlecruisers escorted the pirate vessel. Ben Gunn stretched out his legs and crouched behind his chair. He reached up with his right paw and pressed a couple of buttons on the communications console, disarming the transcommunicator. Crusoe spun his chair to face the small red Felician boy. He drew his zapper gun and aimed it at the child's head. There was a loud crashing noise, and a large purple Aculean blood beast leapt towards the young ensign, dragging a heavy steel chain attached to a metal table leg. Crusoe span around to face the beast and pulled the trigger of his zapper gun. A bolt of red lightning pierced the dog's chest as it leapt through the air, and the purple blood beast fell, crashing to the floor, lying motionless in a puddle of green blood. Captain Riley stood up and kicked the purple dog in the back. "Good shot, Ensign. We can cook it for supper." Crusoe turned his chair to face the captain. He looked puzzled. A pair of gloved hands picked up Ben Gunn by the scruff of the neck. The Felician boy growled at the guard and scratched at the man's face with his claws. The association officer slammed the boy against the wall, knocking him unconscious. Captain Riley sat back down in his chair. "Crusoe, throw the fur ball in the brig with his friends," he ordered. "Pardon?" replied the young ensign in a French accent. "Take him to the brig," commanded the grey-haired man in the captain's chair. Je ne veux anglais, monsieur. Parlez-vous français?" asked Crusoe hopefully. "I'll take him," suggested crewman Nelson. Captain Riley pointed to the red furry alien and ran the tip of his right forefinger across his neck. He looked at Ensign Crusoe. "Pour la guillotine," he suggested. The young French officer stood up. Calico Jack Rackman handed the playing cards to Commander Silver. "Your deal, Mr. Silver." "Statut communica?" asked the puzzled young Venetian. "What did he say?" asked Hawkins, scratching his head. "Que viadri taraba," explained Morgan, clutching his broken snout. "I don't understand a word you are saying," sighed Captain Bones. "I speak bits human," slurped Slimer's hands. There was a sudden loud explosion in the corridor outside the prison cell, and the room filled with a cloud of thick green choking smoke. "Tagrifery Garud!" shouted a gruff voice. There was a short burst of gunfire, followed by 2 loud clunks. Captain Bones coughed. "Well, it sounds as if the rescue party has arrived." He rose to his feet and dusted himself down. Ensign Ogle sat on a metal desk in the armoury and lit a cigarette. Lieutenant Maynard took the orange tube out of the young soldier's mouth, dropped it onto the floor and stamped on it, grinding the butt into the metal floor with the heel of his right boot. "What did you do that for?" asked Ogle. Maynard pointed to a no smoking sign on the wall. Ensign Ogle stood up. "I'm going to the toilet. I really need to take a leak." He clutched his groin with his left hand. "I don't suppose you know where the loo is?" Lieutenant Maynard winked at the young ensign. "I can show you if you like." The blonde-haired ensign laughed. "Don't worry, sir. I'm sure I can find my own way there." The doors of the bridge opened with a soft squishing sound, and Ensign Crusoe stepped into the elevator, carrying the unconscious red Felician boy under his right arm. He was closely followed by a one-eyed white monkey. The metal doors slid closed behind them. A red button flashed on the communications console. Crewman Nelson sat down in the Felician's chair. "It's that Venturan mothership, sir. She's back." Walter Riley pressed a button on the captain's chair, and a large blue and silver whale-shaped ship appeared on the view screen, chasing 2 Green Association Viper-class battlecruisers. There was a burst of phaser fire coming from the Venturan mothership, and one of the battlecruisers exploded into a ball of orange flames. "Engineering, engage plate shielding," ordered Captain Riley. There was no reply. Cheng Lo raised his gleaming bronze fist to the sky and smiled. 3 association officers lay dead or unconscious on the floor of the engine room, scarlet blood oozing from the wounds in their heads, and a battered security droid lay flat on its face outside the thermoreaction chamber. Green sparks fizzled from a gaping hole in the robot's chest cavity. The Golden Hind was heading in the direction of the Victorious, closely followed by the 3 green Viper-class battle cruisers. A beam of white light flashed across the pitch-black sky, and one of the ships exploded into a burning fireball. A golden torpedo raced towards the Ventaran mothership. The blue and silver whale-shaped vessel shook from side to side with the impact of the blast, and red and orange flames exploded from a hole in her damaged hull. Captain Riley stood up. "Captain to Armoury, arm the trimorphic torpedoes." "Yes, sir," replied Lieutenant Maynard. "Captain to Engineering, I said engage the plate shielding." "I heard you, but I'm not listening," replied Cheng Lo over the intercommunication speaker. Guacamole splashed her tail in the pink water. She opened her mouth, and a high-pitched scream reverberated around the bridge for several seconds, shattering the view screen. Shards of broken glass smashed onto the metal floor like a crystal hailstorm. Captain Riley clasped his hands to his ears and yelled out at the top of his voice. 2 of the association officers fell to their knees, blood pouring from their ears, and Crewman Nelson lay dead, slumped over the communications console. One of the security droids aimed his blaster at the aquarium and opened fire. There was a loud fizzing sound as a bolt of white light shot from the robot's blaster, rebounded off the aquarium, and hit the other security droid in the head. The robot's head exploded into flames and fell to the floor, with a clanking thud. The headless security droid span round on its feet, shooting its blaster. Bolts of white laser beams bounced off the plastonite fish tank, hitting anything that got in their way, including the other security droid and 2 of the injured officers. The bridge of the Quadag mercenary was engulfed in a cloud of thick grey smoke. Guacamole splashed her tail and gurgled. Ensign Crusoe pressed a yellow button on the right-hand side of the elevator. The metal door slid open with a slight squeak. He gazed up at the stony face of a tall, muscular, bull-headed man with a burning black beard. The giant was dressed in full-plated body armour, and 6 fat guns were holstered in a green bandolier slung over his heavy shoulders. His thick black beard was plaited and tied with red ribbons, and the tapered ends were on fire. Teach aimed 2 Zap machine guns at the young human. Crusoe put down the ball of soft red fur and lifted his hands in surrender. Chico, the Aculean monkey, ran between the young ensign's legs and leapt onto the captain's shoulder. Ben Gunn stood up and rubbed his aching head with his right forepaw. "Phew, for how?" he purred. "Can any do pull through?" asked the bull-headed giant, still pointing 2 Zap machine guns at his prisoner. "Par mortar translation," replied the young Felician boy, which translated into English means, "I think I'd better go and fix the transcommunicator." "Tabat Carithri," suggested Teach. The Golden Hind fired a titanium torpedo at the large blue and silver whale-shaped ship. The Victorious turned sharply to the left, and the torpedo missed its target by millimetres and caused no damage. The cargo bay doors of the mothership opened, and a swarm of 5 red V-shaped Ventaran warbirds emerged, phasers blasting. The 5 association vessels surrounding the Quadag mercenary broke formation, and the celestial fishing net surrounding the pirate ship vanished. An association officer lay unconscious on a bed in the sickbay, with a large plastic syringe plunged into the back of his neck. Dr. Ami picked up the guard's Zap machine gun and smiled. Teach kicked down the metal door of the toilet cubicle with a cloven hoof, blasting Lieutenant Maynard in the chest with a pair of Zap machine guns before he had a chance to react. The fat, hairy-chested man fell to the floor, with his trousers around his ankles and his right hand clasped tightly to his cock. Captain Bones stood behind a metal desk in the armoury. He handed out a selection of weapons to his crewmates: a Zap blaster to Calico Jack Wackman, phaser rifles to Ebony and Hawkins, a pair of Vap guns to Murray Reed, a Felician blaster and a dagger to Commander Silver, and a laser pistol and cutlass for himself. Slimer's Hands was armed with an Association's Zap machine gun and a kitchen knife. Teach, Ebony, Reed and Calico Jack Wackman managed to overpower the 2 security droids in the shuttle bay without too much trouble. The robots were no match for the well-armed pirates. Ensign Ogle was still searching for the toilets when he bumped into a 4-armed alien holding a Zap machine gun. Dr. Ami aimed the gun at the young unarmed ensign, and Ogle raised his hands in the air. "I surrender," he announced. Ex-Crumlian turned his chair to face the giant security droid. "Are you sure that you don't want to play a game of chess?" he asked. The robot pointed his blaster at the cyborg's head. He was unaware of the hooded figure creeping up behind him. A bronze metal fist smashed a hole through the robot's chest cavity in one punch. "You took your time, Ex-Crumlian," in a sharp metallic voice. "He was a real bore. Security droids have such a limited vocabulary." Cheng-Lo smiled. The 3 remaining Association Viper-class battle cruisers approached the Ventaran fleet, and 5 red Ventaran warbirds swooped on their prey, phasers firing. 2 of the Association ships exploded into flames, and the remaining battle cruiser disappeared in a blaze of white light. The Golden Hind was now caught in a beam of yellow light coming from the bow at the front of the Ventaran mothership. Admiral Drake stood up and stared at the view screen. "They have us in a tractor beam, sir," reported the young officer sitting at the command console. "I can see that, you imbecile," huffed the ginger-haired admiral. "Engine room to bridge," came a voice over the Golden Hind's intercommunication speaker. "I'm unable to break free from the grip. The mothership's pulling us in." The cargo bay doors of the Victorious opened, and the Golden Hind was swallowed, like a goldfish, by the giant blue and silver whale-shaped ship. The elevator door slid open with a soft squishing sound, and Captain Bones burst onto the bridge of the quad-eyed mercenary, with the golden cutlass clenched tightly between his teeth. He was accompanied by Commander Silver and Ensign Hawkins. The blue-skinned man took the sword out of his mouth and rubbed the corners of his bleeding lips with the sleeve of his jacket. "I've always wanted to do that," he sighed. He looked towards the young red furry cat-like boy sitting at the communications console. "Are you feeling better?" he asked. Ben Gunn nodded. "Transcommunicator is back online and working at 92% efficiency, sir." The elevator doors slid closed. Captain Bones stared at the broken glass on the floor of the bridge. "Captain to Engineering. Chief Engineer Morgan, please report to the bridge. We have a few repairs that need doing." The pig-faced Fijian grunted. "Unlike the good doctor, sir, I only have 1 pair of hands. I'm still clearing up the mess in the engine room." "Report to the bridge as soon as you are done," ordered the blue-skinned man, pulling the body of Walter Riley out of his chair. "Captain to sick bay. We've got injured up here." "Acknowledged," replied Dr. and me. "I'll send up the medic droids to collect them." Billy Bones sat down in the captain's chair. "Captain to Ex-Crumlian, what is your status?" "I've regained control of all ship's functions, sir," replied the pilot. Commander Silver pulled the body of crewman Nelson away from his workstation and sat down at the command console. Captain Bones turned his chair to face the fish-like mermaid swimming about in the aquarium. "I see you've had some fun. I don't think they appreciated my singing," gurgled Guacamole. The doors of the elevator opened, and 2 3-foot-high, green and white striped medic droids rolled onto the bridge, carrying a stretcher. They were followed by a giant bull-headed man wearing full metal body armour and carrying 2 Azap machine guns. "Your beard is still on fire," sighed the blue-skinned man in the captain's chair. Teach extinguished the flames in his thick black beard with his fingers. He looked towards the purple dog, whimpering and twitching in a puddle of green blood. The giant went over and dropped his weapons and knelt down beside the wounded beast. Chomper licked his master's hand with a slimy wet tongue. Teach picks up the aculeus blood beast and walks towards the elevator doors. "Teach to sick bay! I have a medical emergency!" The elevator doors slid open. Guacamole splashed her tail in the pink water. We really should find a safe haven to make repairs, Captain," she gurgled. "Where do you suggest?" asked Billy Bones. "Troy's nearest planet in this quadrant," suggested the chief navigator. Commander Silver turned his chair to face the beautiful mermaid swimming about in the aquarium. "I thought that the Trojan Empire were members of the Association." The elevator doors closed with a soft squishing sound. "They were, until the natives declared independence," explained the fish-like mermaid. "The planet is now under the jurisdiction of the Geeky Imperium. The Trojans were conquered 2 days after declaring themselves a neutral state." "How did that happen?" asked the blue-skinned man in the captain's chair. "The Geeky sent a gift to the Trojans, 2 Nova-class gunships, so that they would be able to defend themselves against Association attacks." "I've heard about them," replied Hawkins, looking up from his console. "They are massive ships, the size of a small town." Guacamole gurgled. What the geeky forgot to tell the colonists is that both the vessels already had a crew. 1,000 geeky warriors. Captain Bones turned his chair to face the shattered view screen. Captain to engineering. Pump up the thermoreaction chamber. Aye, Captain, replied Morgan in a gruff voice. How is your nose? Asked the blue-skinned man. Still sore, but at least it stopped bleeding. What did the doctor say? He gave me a bottle of painkillers. Snorted the chief engineer. Headache pills? Asked Captain Bones. Nope, Morgan smiled. A bottle of Mr. Ackman's Achilles fruit rum. The blue-skinned man stood up. Captain to pilot, set course for the planet Troy. Yes, sir, acknowledged Excremillion. Commander Silver, you have the bridge. I'll be in the sick bay if you needed me, ordered Captain Bones. The young silver-haired Venusian stood up and walked over to the captain's chair. Commander Silver to pilot, activate forward thrusters, he ordered. The metal doors of the bridge opened with a soft squishing sound, and William Bones stepped into the elevator, followed by 2 green and white medic droids carrying a stretcher. Commander Silver sat down in the captain's chair. I understand that you're leaving us, gurgled the beautiful mermaid swimming in the aquarium. News travels quickly, replied the young handsome Venusian. He turned his chair to face the fish tank. Why? Asked the mermaid. I don't love him anymore, explained Silver, shrugging his shoulders. Guacamole splashed her tail. What's love got to do with anything? Thought the captain was your friend. He is, sighed Commander Silver, but I can't stay here. Why not? Gurgled Guacamole. Maybe I'm just not cut out to be a pirate, suggested the young man in the captain's chair. Where are you going to go? Asked the mermaid. Maybe back to Venus. Guacamole splashed her tail. And what will you do there? Mow the lawns? My people live underground, sighed the handsome silver-haired Venusian. Well, I'm sure that you'll be very happy, gurgled Guacamole, sarcastically. Just remember to look after yourself. The captain put all his trust in you. You can repay that by staying alive.